the run to this point for those New York guys. It's a cloud computing day under the clouds in Baltimore at the Preakness.
Mike Tirico, NBC. Cloud Computing becomes the fourth horse in the last 6 years to win the Preakness who has not run in the Kentucky Derby. Talk about a race, ladies and gentlemen. Classic Empire, Cloud Computing, down the stretch, by a nose. Literally, the victory goes to Cloud Computing. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Comcast Sport Line, let's welcome Dave Pasquale. David, I don't think you could have asked for much better. Now, a lot of folks said that they would come out really hard and then try to set the pace. Always Dreaming didn't do that, and it may have cost the horse the race. Why do you think he and his jockey decided to kind of go slow?
I think, as I said, I might have said before, if he gets pressured, you could see a different result, and that's exactly what happened. Classic Empire got a clean trip this time instead of getting banged around like he did in the Kentucky Derby. He got a clean trip, put the pressure on Always Dreaming, and Cloud Computing, if you'll remember, Rob, I told you in a previous interview that I couldn't understand why Javier Castellano was getting off of Guinevere, who is a pretty highly respected horse, and getting on Cloud Computing. He's only had 3 races. Now, that was a mystery to me. So I used Cloud Computing on top, and I also had Classic Empire. I thought Classic Empire would run extremely well today, and he did. I had him second. I did not have Senior Investment third. I was really happy to see a much more exciting race in this Preakness than we saw in the Kentucky Derby. This was a nice duel, and then the closers did what they are supposed to do. They're supposed to close, and Cloud Computing did just that.
What surprised me, Dave, I know it's a cleaner track we're dealing with, and it's a smaller race, meaning distance-wise, but Always Dreaming got left in the back of the pack. What so much could have went wrong for this horse who won his really dramatic style to Kentucky Derby, no matter the track conditions, no matter the size of the race, to finish so poorly?
Well, I think it's all about pressure. It gets very discouraging, I think, for horses that get pressure and don't clear the horse that's putting the pressure on. And that's what happened to Always Dreaming. He just he couldn't hold up under the pressure, and it's a pretty tough grind. Going a mile and a quarter 2 weeks ago, asked to go on a mile and 3/16 this week against a horse that should have run much better in the Kentucky Derby than he did, were it not for the bad breaks that he received. He was up against a very good horse, and as it showed today, at least this day, he wasn't as good as Classic Empire. He was just not that good a horse.
And you know what's amazing? They both went out of the gate in stall 4 and 5, paddock 4 and 5. So they were shoulder to shoulder from the time they got out of the gate. And that really kind of gave Classic Empire a chance to actually kind of look over and say, here I am, watch what I can do.
Well, it certainly did. He had him right where he wanted him. He wanted him right next to him where he could see him and see what he was doing and what he had to do to stay with him or go ahead of him. And he got a perfect trip this time as opposed to a horrible trip in the Kentucky Derby.
All right, we move on 3 weeks almost to the day. The Belmont, the final jewel of horse racing's Triple Crown in New York. You see a lot of the same people coming back, and who really has the edge going into that race as far as what the Belmont has to offer, Dave?
Yeah, I think there'll probably be a lot of the same horses in the Belmont, but they'll probably get some new shooters as well. They usually do. They usually get a couple of horses that like the distance and go for it in the Belmont. As far as an advantage, I thought Always Dreaming ran a great race in the Kentucky Derby. I think that Classic Empire ran a tremendous race in this one here. I think he's going to be the horse to beat in the Belmont.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it from the Pratt Pack Gym trackside, Comcast, NBC. We will have Dave Pasquale and Ted Arnaud taking another look at the Preakness and looking ahead to the Belmont tomorrow on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show right after the noon news from CBS. David, thank you.
My pleasure, Rob. Look forward to tomorrow.
Race today that they ran at Churchill Downs.
But there's no argument that Cloud Computing was much the best today.